House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Welcome back, everybody, to House to Home. Liz and Gina are side by side. They're partners in crime, and I am just along for the ride, learning everything about real estate so I can get the best deal possible. Now, we were talking, admittedly, you guys don't know this, but I was talking with my two besties here about real estate. And Gina, you were saying you recently got multiple offers for a single property, which to me sounds great. You said it's kind of a double-edged sword, and I gotta admit, I'm completely perplexed. Can you please explain that?
Well, I mean, it's fantastic for the sellers. We all acknowledge right now it is a seller's market. And there's a couple of things that I've realized is one, it's absolutely a seller's market, but only to the degree that you price the property well. If it's, there's value and then there's pricing, right? If it's overpriced and the market can tell that it's overpriced, and nowadays it doesn't take much to figure that out, right, Liz? Mm-hmm. I mean, because everybody has access to much of the same information we have access to. So if the market could see that it is overpriced and they don't react as well as if you price it at value. And value is, you take a look at what recent properties have sold for that are most similar to the property you have. And that's a tough game here in this market too, because it's hard to find exactly the same properties. But it's a double-edged sword, because if I just have one property at 300,000 and I have 12 people that are all trying to bid for it, then that's, for us, that's the painful edge of the sword. Is we wish we had more property so we could, we could help more customers that need that price range.
Because, there are going to be 11 people whose hearts are going to be broken because they can't get the house of their dreams.
Who needs that home in that price range, but we only have one or two, or
Liz, I have a question, and if we can do a theoretical, I'd appreciate it, because my brain works better when I think like that. So say Gina has a property for listing and say it's 350 exactly, right? I say that's within my budget. I say, okay, I'm going to bid 350. I'm going to make an offer. Unbeknownst to me, Liz comes in and outbids me and says 375. Do I, as a potential buyer, do I have the right to know her identity as a person who outbid me, and by how much? Can I know her name and the dollar figure so I can be competitive?
So what we do is, if you're submitting an offer and I'm your agent, I would tell you you're competing, especially when, like the property Gina's talking about. When I first saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got a buyer for this. So what we do with a buyer, we tell them, you're competing. This is a good piece in a great location, and this is the price. And then I would tell you you're competing with other offers, because I already know she'll be getting a lot of offers, which she did. So I would say, hey, Jason, you got to compete if you want this. But the problem there that Gina was talking about, if you only qualify for 360, you can only go as high as 360, right? Now, other buyers may be qualified, and investors may be qualified for 400. And if they submit their offer, they know they're competing, so they'll put in a higher offer because they have the buying power. Now, going back to your question, can I tell you about who's offering? I mean, the only time we can give information if the seller says, go ahead and tell them this is my bottom line. I don't want to, this is the minimum bid that I will take.
Yeah, the who kind of sounds questionably ethical. I mean, it really doesn't matter to me who the who is. I'm more concerned about the dollar figure, because if I got outbid, I don't know if you outbid me by $25,000 or 25 cents.
So I can't tell you, Jason, so-and-so bid 10,000 over you, unless we put it out there that the seller says it's okay to tell everybody you're all competing. This is my minimum, and their offer's already above it. If the seller says, go ahead and tell people, then we can say, we have offers and it's higher than the asking price. And if it's higher than the asking price, you're in competition. So I would think it behoove you, and me as your agent would say, hey, Jason, how much do you like this property? Because you're going to have to compete.
Okay, so by proxy, you can tell me to make a higher offer within within a certain dollar range, right? Because otherwise, I mean, forgive me if I'm like naive right now, but to me it kind of looks like I'm flying blind right now. Like I don't know how much I got outbid by, but say if my wife really wants that property, I'm in a world of hurt if I don't get it for her, right?
Well, I always say, how much more can you go?
Yeah.
Because if you lost it, and I tell people this, if you lost it for 5,000, let's say you could have gone 5,000 over, but you didn't, and you lost it, how would you feel? Because you really like the property and you could kick yourself because you lost it because you did not go the distance. So it's only to your buying power. You can't try to bid higher and then, it won't happen because
So
you don't.
is it strategic then, ladies, to just say like whatever you qualify for and what your buying power is, to always make a max offer? If I qualify for 400, I should just go for 400 to give myself a little bit of breathing room. And if somebody outbids me because they qualify higher, I can't compete with that because they're just on a different financial field than I am.
Well, Jason, I've seen that work. I've seen that backfire with offers too. So you know,
I get stuck with a massive mortgage.
Well, no, you get a seller who is sophisticated enough to realize this price is not going to work if you're getting a loan, and you're just padding your offer to make me accept it, but I know it's not going to work. In this office alone, we've had a couple of sellers who have told their realtors, I'm not taking that. You know, it's bloated. It's not going to work. It will never appraise. So why go the distance with this buyer just to find out it's not going to work? So there's a lot of factors that goes into negotiating. If your agent knows what they're doing, then they can guide you through the steps and show you what you need to do to position yourself so that your offer has the best shot. And your question was, well, how much? I'm working blind. Well, if you're working with a good agent, number one, they've told you what the comparables are. You've already studied it. You know how high you can go and it still makes sense. And they've educated you on the possibility that you might end up paying more than the appraisal value. And how much more can you possibly afford outside of bank financing?
Or again, maybe if I qualify for 400, you can tell me offer 385. And then if for some reason it becomes like a bidding battle, then I can go 15 more and I'm still within my qualified amount, right?
These days, it's been a bidding battle with
because to me it looks from my perspective. I mean, and I'm glad you guys like are here to to negotiate for me if I'm your client, and I am, because to me it looks less as the art of the deal and more like almost like an auction.
In today's market, it appears that way because the inventory is low, and as a result, people want certain properties, and the only way to get it is to bid. Now, sometimes we get, like I've gotten a higher offer, and the seller was fine with it, but the appraisal came out lower. So at that point, the seller said, pay the difference. It didn't appraise, however, I don't want to sell it unless I get my purchase price. So then the seller had advised, please pay the difference. And then if the buyer was willing to do so, then we could move forward. But in that particular case, the buyer said, no, I don't want to pay more than what I originally agreed upon. Okay, now, some of the offers, just bear in mind, some of the offers are saying, I will pay 5,000 over the appraisal just to dangle the carrot that I want to buy it that bad that I'll pay 5,000 over appraisal, or 5,000 to 10, and even if it's lower than the purchase price.
Okay, I'm okay with that. And now maybe Gina, like I'll give the final word to you because we're running out of time. But is this another reason why we as a society on Guam, why we have to get the economy back on track? Because in a market like this, properties become artificially competitive because you have such limited inventory, and it's more competitive than it actually should be. So people are going to have these bidding wars, with there's not that much product to go around.
Yeah, the government needs to get over COVID and start looking at the economy and the infrastructure in Guam. Our crisis, in my opinion, is not COVID. Our crisis is the housing market and what's going to happen to the community when the dust settles and we realize that Everything has gone up, and there's a housing shortage and there's a rental shortage. That's the crisis that we're going to have, and that's what really we should be paying attention to, in my opinion.
Well,
what do
competition
I-
is healthy, but competition can also be like very stressful. And I guess there is a strategy to it. And you guys have said another reason why you guys want to work with fine realtors like the ones they have at RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jace.
Jade.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.